Oh, no, I did not.
Could you mute him?
You said you were pregnant with my triplets, you weirdo.
Could you mute him?
Everybody knew it was a joke.
Okay, let me tell you something.
Matthew, hush.
Oh my God, they fucking muted me.
You need to quit talking and you need to listen.
Fucking lame as fuck.
Because we are literally pulling out why the reasons what's going to happen to you is happening. But go ahead. You didn't take warning from Negs. Look at where he's at. Go ahead, Hussy.
I found you when you were kissing Negs' ass doing Negs' work.
You found me. You found me. I was the one that set up the collaboration between you and Negs so you could collect thousands of dollars to grift off his audience.
Okay, bitch. Now you're gonna fucking listen.
You hoe.
I have your emails that
you fat fucking
said, I'm sorry, I was trolling. Let me in your community. Stop.
Oh, I sent you emails. Lies.
How are you getting unmuted?
Lies.
Why did he?
Because I own this channel. I run this channel.
Okay, now he's muted. Now you're gonna shut the fuck up and
he gets unmuted again.
Now you're gonna shut the fuck up and listen to me.
What? Shut up.
He keeps unmuting himself. So
Rage pig.
Anyway.
I got booted.
He doesn't know how fucked he is now.
Welcome to the motherfucking Bodega. I'm your host, Bad Boy Tragic, Big Trag 1K. So we're gonna get into it today. How's everybody doing? Want to say what's up to everybody in the chat. Thanks for everybody showing up today. I do appreciate it. What up, AK? What's up, Boo? What's up, JoJo? What's up, Mr. Manwich? Chica, let's go. Let's get it. What's up, the Moco? What's up, Girl Sip? How you doing? What's up, Monica? What's up, D. Higgins? Thank you, D. Higgins. You're so generous. I just want to let you know that I do really appreciate you, and I'm glad that we were able to become friendly. You are an awesome person. I appreciate everything. What's up, Lurking Kitty? So how's everybody doing today? So there's been a lot of stuff going on lately, a lot of fucking fuck shit, a lot of fucking bullshit that's been going on. If you haven't noticed, I have been monetized. So if you want to become a member and check out some really dope emojis or whatever you call them, the AK help me out with, you could have access to those, access to the full stream from that clip from last night. You'll have access to that full stream if you become a member. So basically what happened was I took on Hussy, took on MFW, and that other fucking lunatic, and they just got fucking destroyed to the point where they actually blocked me from StreamYards. And we have our guest here now, so I'll bring her on the panel.
Hi.
Hey, what's up, Mrs. Nags? How you doing?
What's going on?
Not much. I just was talking about the stream a little bit from last night, my interaction that I had with those cows.
That was epic.
Yeah, to the point they got so mad that they booted me off and then they banned me, so I couldn't even come back.
Bummer.
Yeah, they were enraged. They couldn't handle the truth. Mm-hmm. Every time I came with the truth bombs about Hussy and about how so many people helped him build that platform on Twitch. Like,
yeah,
what a lot of people don't realize is, Negs was really behind getting him on Twitch.
He was.
And he reached out to me to help Hussy.
Mm-hmm.
Also, the collab that occurred between Negs and Hussy, I helped out, get that together. But,
mm-hmm.
he played an integral role in making that happen.
Right.
And at that time, nobody wanted Hussy around.
Yeah, I remember.
There took a lot of discussions with people, even people in our group at that time. They did not
mm-hmm.
want him around. They couldn't stand him. They called him a grifter. I mean, they still do behind his back, of course. So they say he's a con man, all this stuff, but they just didn't want him around. And between Negs and I and some other people,
mm-hmm.
we basically had to beg people just to give him a chance.
Yeah, I know. And a lot of people tried to help him with that computer that he grifted too. There's a long list of people who tried to help him learn it, but I heard one person said that say that he tried and tried and tried, but that Hussey was just too stupid. He couldn't get it.
He
So
did. Oh,
now
yeah,
it's
Next tried, yeah, several times.
and now it's just a very expensive paperweight,
Yeah, right.
sitting on the desk.
He has to get people to help him change the batteries in the mouse.
How about that?
I mean, it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. Yeah, yeah. I mean, he's a lost cause. He really is. And then he's been making things up, and he's very similar to that other cow. They just make things up. They just
Yeah.
pull things out of their ass.
Right.
You
He
know?
believes everything he hears, every word, and he just repeats everything that he hears like a parrot. And he doesn't understand, well, he doesn't understand MFW's background, or he doesn't care.
He doesn't care. No.
And, he doesn't understand what a terrible thing he's doing on the internet by spreading lies, many of which are quite defamatory.
Oh yeah.
And could could land him in court. And then there's just everything else: the grifting, the stalking, the obsession, the fact that he's so obsessed with money, the fact that he writes people's donations down, he pocket watches everybody. And I don't think that he understands how bad this looks. I mean, right now, he's got a chat that's full of people from equally toxic and vile communities. But when they get tired of him, just like Petty Fam got sick of him, they'll pick up stakes and they'll leave if he goes too far, So,
And it's
I
really
don't
apparent.
care.
Yeah, it's really apparent what he does is he hops on her panel and then says he's going to go live. He tries to drag the audience that's watching her. The majority of them are hate watchers. They're just there to watch the dumpster fire.
Exactly.
And but yeah, he tries to pull the audience over to him because he thinks he's going to get something out of it. He'll get some money out of it. And it's everyone can see what's going on. I mean, even someone as brain dead as her has to realize that at this point.
Yeah, well, I mean, she doesn't have that many allies either.
No.
So she's hard up, and nobody wants to bring her on their channels. Nobody wants to, risk having that drunk whore, running her mouth, lying about people, slandering and defaming people. God only knows what's going to come out of her mouth next. So, she's down to Hussey and he's down to her. How many other people? I mean, maybe CJ would have him on. But realistically speaking, how many people are going to continue to have him on if he is a huge train wreck? I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if, some people from Petty Fam dragged him back on every now and then as a circus prop,
Yeah, circus freak, yeah. Well, they don't. Those people don't care about anything. So,
no, they don't.
No. Yeah.
No, they don't.
I mean, it's just, it's pathetically hilarious just to watch those two together, just get so drunk out of their minds and just pull things out of their ass and just say the most vile and disgusting shit. Like she said she knew what she was saying was racist and was being a racist, and she didn't care. And Hussey's sitting on panel. And she says, I don't care that I'm being racist.
Well, why would she? I mean, that's very on brand for her.
But like, she admits it. Like she's not hiding anything. She's like, yeah, I say racist shit. I am a racist.
Yeah.
So what? No, there's a big problem with that.
Right. I mean, but she's been doing
it.
But she's been doing it for years, though. I mean, this is what she does. And, somebody who's as much of an idiot and a simp and as desperate for an audience as Hussey is one thing. But when you've got people like BGTV, and people like that popping into her chat and sucking up to her, it's like, what are you doing? You guys were the ones who were, forming a mob of people with peasants and pitchforks to come after negs for months and years and years. And you're sitting there, and see, this is something I wanted to dispel, this ridiculous notion that I used the Petty Fam or whatever. No, the fact of the matter was they exactly they all used me, every single one of them. My channel was still intact. It was much bigger. They all came on my channel. They all got a lot of publicity for their channels. Some of them took some people from my audience, and some people stayed, some people left, or whatever. And the thing that they don't understand is they're like, oh, well, she tried to recruit us for her war. No. You people had been at war with negs for years. Years. Mrs. Parker and the rest of them, the Geek Room, all of those people had been going after negs for years.
Yeah.
And the reason that I went to them was because they knew more about him than I did. And it turned out that what they knew about him was a lie.
Bullshit,
they were just a bunch of trolls and liars, and then they used me to get their message out. Let's get that straight. Okay, I didn't use them to get my message out. They used me because I was a novice. I hadn't been around for that long. So let's cut the shit with that. That is just ridiculous.
Exactly. And I was thinking about that too, if you're a creator and you have a bunch of people come to you and they're telling you all this information, more than likely, I mean, most people are going to tend to believe that and say, oh, well, it's not just one person, it's multiple people.
Right.
But, with people that lie like that think that they're stealthy trolls, all this other bullshit, that's what they do. They go from creator to creator, trying to, even with their own channels, they want other people to spew their nonsense and their bullshit and their lies because they're such cowards to say it themselves, and they know that it's bullshit. Right. And then they sit back and laugh like, oh, look they're repeating all this shit we just made up.
Well, that's the other thing too, is when people like, Mrs. Parker get on stream and she says stuff like, Petty Fam doesn't dox. Yes, you do.
They've been doing it for years.
Yes, you do. And the thing is that, I saw the stream where she pulled up your Facebook.
Yeah.
I saw that.
Yeah.
And I thought, wait a second. I may not have liked you at the time, but, I thought to myself, what the, because I've had my Facebook accessed. My Facebook was accessed by Kiwi Farms when I first came on the scene, when I first came back in like 2019. And it was really scary. I don't know how the hell they got in. And they published a bunch of my posts, and then I changed my password, and I went through all that rigmarole. But, we all know goddamn well that when she exposed Lola Bohemia, we know where she got that information.
Yeah.
She wasn't the one going through databases.
No.
She wasn't the one who was going through all of that information. We know that Roxo and Zoom gave her that information.
Yep.
And she wants to act holier than thou and say, well, Petty Fam, of course you do. What do you call that whole expose on Lola? You know? You brought up stuff from her past.
Yeah, she knew about Lola in her past.
Right.
For a long time. She just used her up until she didn't have any more worth to her anymore and discarded her. That's what those people do. But she knew everything that Lola was up to. They were doing all those fundraisers. And, allegedly, the majority of those funds didn't go to any of these charities that they were fundraising.
Oh, what a surprise.
So, and I think she knew about that too. And they're like, let's just drive her into the ground and demolish her, get her to go away, and we don't have to deal with her. She won't be an issue.
Right. Right. Well, I never really talked about this, but Lola actually did reach out to me. And
oh, did she?
She did. And she was frantic. And she sent me reams and reams and reams and reams of documentation proving her side of the story. And I had reached a point back then where I just did not feel like taking on another cause, quite frankly. And I feel guilty about it, but I just didn't want to get involved. But when I thought to myself, at that time, Lola was very ill. And she basically told me that Mrs. Parker destroyed her life. And it tugged at the heartstrings because I felt so badly for her. But then I was looking through all the documentation and I was so overwhelmed by it. And I thought, do I really, now that I'm already fighting with 1 million people, I've already got all these communities coming after me, do I really now want to take up for Lola and have this get 1,000 times worse? There was a bit of a selfish aspect to it. But also, at that point, I was so overwhelmed that I didn't know who to believe, because I had been lied to by so many people that I just didn't want to get involved, But
I don't
I
blame
did
you,
not
actually.
know until recently that Mrs. Parker had gotten the information from Zoom and Roxo while she was pontificating about not doxing, and she turns to two people who are known for being able to get access to pretty much any kind of information. So
Yeah.
it's like, okay, so it's a technicality, so you didn't do it yourself, you turned to other people. And I'm pretty sure that when she started threatening that she was going to expose me, that that's who she turned to as well. And I think that it's very telling that she never came out with that expose, probably because Roxo and Zoom and all those people couldn't find anything on me.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, yeah.
there were no hidden bankruptcies, there were no secret kids, there were no jail sentences, there was no scandal, there was no dirt. I mean, what I
Yeah.
said I was is what I was, so they couldn't dig anything up.
Yeah. I mean, that's what they do. That's what these people do, and they chase the clout. They leech on to people, and in most cases, they'll go after somebody that already has a bunch of people going after them to the point
Right.
where the person that they're going after is already defenseless, and they're on the ground and they're being dogpiled.
Right.
And then they come over and try to kick the person when they're down.
Right.
That's how these people operate. It's really that's their strategy behind it. And yeah, I mean, they will if they can't find anything, they will make stuff up. Now, I think they know they can't do that with you. You know, they can't just throw up a bunch of bullshit and a bunch of lies and get away with it and not be called out for it. But in the long run, it will just make themselves look worse in the process. So, I mean, I mean, they're like cockroaches. I've seen how they've operated for several years. I mean, they were doing that for Negs for a very long time too.
I remember.
Trying to chase off him, and telling him a bunch of bullshit and a bunch of lies, and trying to get him to back them and things like that. In the process, boost them and their nonsense.
Well, it's funny because Negs and I had a rule from the very beginning, and that was that we know that we're both incredibly stubborn people, right? And we're very outspoken, and we promised each other, and this was going to be an absolute requirement if we were going to go forward as a couple, that we would never tell each other what to do, because that is the recipe for disaster. But but he didn't tell me what to do. He didn't tell me, but he was very frank and very forthright when it came to certain people that I had been associating with. And he said, there are certain people in your circle, or that have been in your circle, that I do not like, and here's why. And he laid out his case, and I tucked it away. And what I've come to discover over the past, well, we got together in April, so however many months that is, 10 months, that his assessment of people is dead on.
Yeah, isn't it?
He has never been wrong about a single person, and he'll come out with this judgment of someone, or he'll say, this person, I don't like the look of them, and I think that this person's lying to you for whatever reason. And I'll think, come on, that person? And he's always right, goddammit. He's never wrong.
Yeah, it's very similar with AK too, and her assessments of people as well. So it's good to have those type of people in your corner. And with Nags, if he does get something wrong, he'll come out and say it too.
Yeah, he will.
He doesn't hold back in that department. So yeah, I mean, Nags and I spoke about it several different times. We saw these people reach out to creators like Charlie Gold and to you and Zachary Michael and all these people. We knew what they were doing, that they were just trying to latch on and leech to boost their channels. It was a clout chase, and they were going to try to get as much clout doing whatever they could. And you've seen what they've said since then. They've come out and said, yeah, I've tried to paint. We try to paint Negs as a racist. We try to paint Tragic as a chomo. Right. That's what they do. So if anybody trusts them for anything, I mean, you're out of your goddamn mind. You should be put in a mental institution.
Well, they tried to paint me as a racist too, and that flopped. I mean, a couple of gullible idiots believed it, but for them, it's like now with those idiots trying to convince people that I'm a homophobe. It's not going to work. If you're going to accuse me of something, at least make it somewhat believable.
Yeah, with some
But if you're
proof.
going to accuse me of being so you're saying that I was a racist because I brought a bunch of people of color on my channel, content creators of color. I gave them a boost. I brought them on multiple times. I gave them a platform. I shouted them out.
Did, yeah.
And yeah, so I'm a huge racist. Exactly. That's how that works. And you guys all stabbed me in the back, but I'm the one who's guilty here. Sure. Okay. I got it.
Right, yeah.
So,
It
whatever.
doesn't equate. It doesn't make any sense. But speaking of your channel, I don't know if you want to talk about that. If
Sure.
somebody can put the links in the chat for where you're at momentarily. But what
Oh,
would you like to say?
somebody pointed out in chat, and I want to point this out too. They did do the same thing to Callie. They did.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
And we all know that Callie is not Callie's not the best judge of character, and Callie is somebody who has reached out to the wrong people, and she's gotten involved with the wrong people. She's gotten heavily involved. She's trusted the wrong people. And she is not great when it comes to making decisions. She pops off. She's very impulsive and all that. But she finally woke up and realized that they were using her too. And they did. They did. And well, I don't want to talk about this. But anyway, but what she's doing now is very funny to me because she's finally in a position where she's like, look, I don't care. I'm going to burn every bridge because the bridge never existed in the first place. So what do I have to lose,
Yeah, you got to stick up for yourself against these people. You really do. And it's a dog pile between her, between the next person. It will be the next person after that. You never see these people go after bigger channels,
Right.
or anybody that knows any information on them. They'll just totally detach from it. I mean, with bald gay TV, I was telling them for months. I said, "Look, I have your information. I have your old videos. I have all this stuff on you. Why are you doing this? Why are you doxing AK? Why do you continue to harass people and go
Right.
after people?" And I let this go on. I had that information for a very long time, over a year. And I kept giving this dude a chance. I was like, dude, you just need to back off. You lay off. And then boom, as soon as he went too far, we came through with that information and he disappeared,
Yeah.
He just went underground, and then he just goes on to the next dog pile because he's got no balls. The dude is a coward. He's a fraud. He made up everything. His entire persona online is all made up. He's not some big baller. He's not some like playa or anything like that. He's a geeky dude that plays video games that, worked for the city and got canned allegedly for being drunk on the job. So, I mean, he wants to talk down on people and give people a hard time. I mean, he should really focus on himself and cope who he is as a person instead of taking it out on other people by trying to drag people online. I mean, he's really in no position to do so.
Well, also, don't forget that he was the one who started that slander campaign suggesting that Negs was allowing his kid to watch porn in his room all day.
Oh, yeah, that was really weird.
They took a quote that Negs made. We all know exactly what Negs said, and that's not what he said. They took it out of context, and then Hussey ran with it. And Hussey used it to post in a video where he was encouraging people to call CPS. And I'm sorry, but nobody can persuade me. Nobody can persuade me that Hussey didn't pick up the phone and call CPS himself.
Oh, no, he definitely did.
He definitely did.
Yeah.
There's no question in my mind. And so I blame Black Eye TV for a lot of this. I mean, Hussey's an
Gassing
idiot.
him up, yeah. They
Hussey's
gassed
a
him up.
moron, and Hussey is desperate to impress people like Black Eye TV and Mrs. Parker and all those guys. But anybody with half a brain could have listened to what Neg said and realized that that's not what he said.
Exactly, yeah.
It's not what he said.
The narratives they come up with and they formulate, I don't know where they get this stuff from because it's just weird and it's creepy.
It is creepy. Why would why would you even think of that? Like, why would that even cross your mind? That is a huge lie to tell. That is a huge lie. And, it's funny because I live in that house and I see what goes on in that house and I see what the kid does.
Mhm.
And anybody who would say something like that about him, I mean, they couldn't be. First of all, it's false because Negs didn't even say that. He didn't even say anything close to that.
Mhm.
But it just shows they don't know little Negs at all.
No.
If they knew that kid, they would realize how ludicrous and absurd that fabrication was. It's
Yeah,
just
it's
ridiculous.
ridiculous. Yeah, it is ridiculous. And they've come to find out when it comes to Negs, they can't trigger him by going in on him, like
Right.
what he's doing in his life. They try every different way. They'll try to label him as a racist, as a homophobe, anything that
Right.
they can, and it hasn't worked. It doesn't get to him. So it always he always goes down the path of bringing his kids into it, like every single time, because they can't trigger him
Exactly.
any
They
other
know
way.
that
So
that's what's going to do it.
and who
Exactly.
is going to do that? Anybody that loves their kids is going to get upset if people go down that route. Like I went and had that discussion with those two bozos last night. Within 30 seconds, they bring up kids out of nowhere and try to
know, I saw that. It's not
insinuate
funny.
all
It's
kinds
not
of
funny.
nasty shit. No, it's ridiculous.
They're
I mean,
they're such degenerate, disgusting
are.
pieces of crap. They're the worst.
it does make you laugh, like to the point where it's like, wow, these people are way out there. They're fucking bonkers. Like I said last night, I would laugh at them and think everything was hilarious if it was just them two up there drunk talking shit. But they do action. They put action behind their words. They do some fucked up shit in real life that goes
Right.
along with it. It's not just shit that they're saying out of their mouth, or making up these crazy things or saying these nasty things. They're doing it as well.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
there's evidence and there's proof out there. And that's why I don't understand, like, a person like who is she would go into a community like that. It just shows that she's a complete and utter fake herself,
Right.
because she tried to paint a picture like, she's all for, the underdog, and she's all for, people that are being dogpiled or being bullied or being harassed and things like that. That's what she approached me with, is this like sob story. Like, oh, this happened to me. I was dogpiled on the farms. They put my picture up there and all this stuff. And she painted herself into this victim with not just me, but with a lot of people. And it's not the case. And now look where she's at. She's hanging
Right.
out with all these other wannabe bullies that, that attack people online.
Well, they're all bound together because they hate the same people. That's what brings them together.
The hate.
It's this irrational hatred of people that, I mean, let's face it, these are people they've never met. They just don't like people online, and so they all gather together in this disgusting, poisonous little toxic group and just tell lies to each other. They spread lies on their channels,
Group psychosis. It really is.
Right.
Group psychosis. Yeah, I mean, and when who is she approached me? She emailed me and had this long sob story about her experiences with different people and things like that, saying how she felt bad for me. She wanted to support me. She wanted to be friendly with me. But it took a turn for the worst, and we gave her a chance. We wanted her just to come around, hang out, have fun, but it turned very, sexual very quick. It turned into her wanting to have more than just friendship with me, especially, and it creeped people out. It really did.
Listen, it made me uncomfortable, and I was watching the whole thing from a distance. I mean, look, anybody with like average reading comprehension and a very, very basic understanding of human psychology could take a look at the way she was behaving in chats and on panel and know that woman was completely obsessed with you. I mean, there was no question. And we used to joke about it, actually. A bunch of us used to joke about it, like, what is wrong with her? Like, she's a married woman. She's supposed to be an Orthodox Jew, with a husband and 4 kids. And she's up there, and she's not even trying to hide it. It's almost like
she wasn't.
Almost like a teenager, around a rock star. And it was like, it was just cringy because of the fact that she presented herself as this very religious, proper, married lady, and here she is, and she's obviously chasing after you. And it was like, God, just get a hold of yourself. You're doing this in public in front of everybody. And apparently she was doing even worse in private.
Yeah, no, I had to keep, setting boundaries and then reset them again and explain. I kept telling her, you're not just some random person that I just met or somebody that just hit me up on OnlyFans or something.
Right.
I know who you are. I know, that you're married, that you have kids and little kids. I was like, you really need to think about them. How would they feel if they saw, what you were trying to do? They wouldn't feel good. You would devastate them. But she didn't seem to mind, and I would try to even set boundaries and then stream about it, and she was bitching and complaining that I was being too proper with her. It's like, holy hell. Oh, I'm just trying to treat you as a friend. What
Right.
do you want?
The thing is, I mean, even beyond the fact that she's married and she has kids and all that, I don't know how orthodox she is. I don't know what kind of a community she comes from, but I know that that there are Orthodox communities where the ramifications of behaving that way in public as a married woman are very, very dire. And it's not just that the marriage could end. The marriage could, remain intact, but in some of these communities, if you get caught behaving that way, you are shunned. And if you are shunned, that means that the entire community shuns you, which means that you then damage your children's chances of getting married in the future because they come from a bad family. They could ruin your kids' chances at education. I mean, there's tremendous societal shaming and pressure in some of these communities. So I don't know if she's a Hasidic Jew or if she's just very Orthodox, but the risk to her, if she did come from one of those communities, was huge. And the fact that she was doing this all so publicly was shocking to me. I just couldn't believe it. I couldn't understand it.
Yeah, and she wants it to be spoken about, she just keeps coming back. Nobody was talking about her. Nobody was saying anything negative about her. We were just like, hey, I don't want to deal with this anymore, and other people don't want to deal with this anymore. So look, we're just not going to talk anymore. But she's continually tried to poke me and to come after, me and others and stuff like that. And so it's gotten to the point where, yes, I do have to respond to all the stuff that you're saying, because the majority of it is bullshit. And, I put some of the receipts on my community tab. I put some on Twitter, but there's a whole lot more that go along with that. And I don't know what she's trying to do. It's a bad look for her. It really is.
Well, she's, she's so weird. I mean, she was in my community a while ago, and she was one of my mods. And for those of you who know her, you know that she's got this weird, childish obsession with collecting wrenches. Like being a mod in somebody's chat is such a big deal for her. And she bugged me and bugged me and bugged me. And so finally I just gave her a wrench because, quite frankly, I don't care. I mean, it doesn't really matter to me. And she had me on panel, and we've had conversations. We were not close. We weren't friends, but we corresponded occasionally. And then I didn't really notice, but she kind of disappeared. And so I didn't really think about her until she started popping up in your circle. And I went over to her channel, and I noticed that she was making videos about me. And I thought, what the, this was so unexpected to me. It was so unexpected because it came with no warning. She just left and decided to stick a knife in my back for no reason and say terrible things about me and come up with these weird conspiracy theories. I mean, you remember Tragic, when Negs and I first became friends, everybody was convinced that we were banging. Yeah. And then when we actually got together, everyone thought it was fake, right?
Yeah.
So she was on that bandwagon. Yeah. And she was like, oh God, all I want is for Missy Ann and Negs to fall in love, and then DC will be left behind. It's like, what the fuck did I ever do to you? What is wrong with you? Like, where do you even come up with this weird pairing? Yeah. And so it's like, why are you wishing ill on me when I've done absolutely nothing to you? And the weird thing too is that when Negs and I were still squabbling, this was in 2021, she was one of the people who was trying to get me to make peace with him because she was in his chats. And I could see her in his chat because I was hate watching him constantly. I was stalking him incessantly online. And I would see her in there and she's like, oh, you really need to give DC a chance. And I think she may have even DM me about it. Like, well, maybe you and Neg should talk. And this was around the time that CJ had tried to get us to talk. Which, listen, when two people argue as much as we did, they have to come to an understanding on their own schedule.
Yeah.
You can't force them together.
Yeah.
But she was very keen on that. And then all of a sudden we become friends and she's like, go fuck yourself. And she goes running off. And it's like, what did I do to you? You're crazy.
Yeah. Definitely some unhinged behavior. Just definitely, yeah. She was a big fan. She would tell me she's watched Negs for years.
Did we lose?
Oh, let's see.
Yeah, you went out for a little bit.
Oh, did I come back?
Yeah, you're here.
Okay. All right. Sorry about that. So what were you saying?
She
'Cause, yeah, she was a
backstabbed
big fan.
D. She
She
backstabbed
did.
D. Yeah, she was so cruel to D. I don't know what it is about D. Higgins that makes people so crazy. It's like, people, I mean, we know that Hussey's a piece of shit who's always turning on people in his audience and calls them out and has like, an exact idea of how much they're contributing in whose chats and all that. But the vitriol that has been leveled at D from so many creators who have made a public announcement that they are expelling her from their communities and then talking about her like French Fry Girl and all these people, like, what is wrong with you? She is one of the kindest people in the world. And she was very kind to, who is she? Very, very kind, and who stabbed her in the back and was ruthless about it. It's incredible how people just take these liberties with D, who, I mean, I don't care what Hussey says. Oh, she's a content. No, she's not. D is a viewer.
Yeah.
D is a very
agree, yeah.
kind, lovely woman who's a
She
viewer.
is, yeah. She's been very, kind
Right.
to me as well, too.
Very kind. And for people to level that kind of abuse at her is just gross. And for who is she to do it? Like, I mean, it's bad. It's bad. It's really, it says a lot about her.
Yeah, it does. And she never really had a good reason why she would be mad at her. There was nothing
No.
really there that she would say. Yeah, a lot of things didn't make sense because, I was on the fence the whole time. I was having a conflict with Negs, going back and forth. And she saw that too. And she's like, it seems like you want to get things worked out and stuff like that. And she would say that stuff to me. So I don't know why she's acting like she's so surprised at this point.
Right.
Because we spoke about it as well too.
Right.
So.
Well, I mean, let's just clear one thing up, okay? I love this. I love Tragic. I love the conspiracy theory. I love the conspiracy theory that you and me and Negs have been scheming for a year. And that we've been cooking up this weird... What exactly is it that we've accomplished? I'm not quite sure. But we've been cooking up this, like, master plot in, like, an underground lair. And we just pretended that we were all fighting and that we didn't like each other. And now, why would we pick now, then, to come for... Like, what is going on? I don't understand, like... What would be the objective of that? It's so crazy. Oh, I know. Well, I mean, look at who came up with that theory. But still, it's just so funny. Like, why can't you just accept what you see at face value? We were arguing. We fell out. We Negs and I made up. You and I made up.
Yeah.
You and Negs. I mean, like, what is, I guess that this is, like, baffling to people. They don't get it. But no, that's not true. That's not what happened, okay?
No, it wasn't. I think a lot of it is projection because that's the kind of stuff they do.
Right.
Is what it is. So that's
Right.
why they think there's more. They think there is more to it because that's how they operate and that's what they do.
And also, the three of us don't need to manufacture drama. We've got enough of it.
Yeah, we have enough, right?
We don't need to make drama. It seems to follow us around.
It does. It does. And I mean, for example, like I went on that loser stream last night, and this morning, all the people that have been hassling me for years, they all show up in the stream. You know, it's just like these people are very obsessive. They're stalkers. They're
Right.
legit stalkers. And like I said
They
last
are.
night, if there's something that's going on online, if you're engaged in some type of online conflict and it's making you want to change the way you act offline, at that point you should probably check yourself into a mental institution.
I agree with you.
And get institutionalized.
Right.
Because it's not normal. It just really isn't. And then if you're gonna go at people, expect that some of these people are going to come back at you, that you're going to have to deal with a response back. If you're going to go on attacking people, and you can't do this for that long and then just expect nothing's going to happen back in return.
Right. Oh, 007 reminds us that, yeah, you and Negs are plotting to take me down. and also tragic that you are in MFW's DMs and you're sharing details of this plot with her on a regular basis. You and Negs's mother, are sharing all this information with her of all people.
Jesus.
I know,
Yeah,
right?
She brought her up out of nowhere. Like,
Yeah.
I didn't even, bring that up or say anything about Negs, and she just starts talking about his mom. It's fucking
Right.
insane.
Right.
It's just not normal.
No, it's not normal. It's not. Well, she's obsessed with him. You know that.
She is, yeah. She dedicated that song. They were singing that song that they dedicated to Negs, and she ate shit. She fell out of her chair and fell over.
That was beautiful, by the way.
And Hussey was laughing at her. And these people can't stand each other.
No.
They're just both trying to use each other. I don't know what MFW is getting out of it. I really don't, unless some of the 2 or 3 people that are left that give money to Hussey are starting to give it to MFW.
Listen, we all know what it's like when people with substance abuse problems hook up with each other. We know what those friendships consist of. And we know how ephemeral they are. And we know that they could go bye-bye at any second for any reason. Because people who are that deeply in addiction, they can't be relied on to have good judgment or to stick with anything for any length of time. And I've seen some very sick, dysfunctional relationships among drug addicts and alcoholics. And I mean, we see evidence of it with those two as well.
Oh, yeah. No, it amazes me, the type of things that comes out of their mouths. I'm not surprised at anything. And this whole thing with the terrorist eyes, she was saying that AK was going to get deported.
Right.
I mean, I don't know where she comes up with this stuff.
AK is an American citizen. American citizens can't get deported. Deported to where? What are you talking about?
It doesn't make any sense with the shit that she says. I mean, and it's just crazy. And then you got Hussey making up stories. I tried to go on there and ask about this cousin because he says he's sending his cousin after me. He made up this character like this hitman. I've been waiting for a phone call from Raul, but I haven't gotten one yet.
Oh, when Hussey leans into the camera and starts hissing, when he's really, really in his cups and starts threatening that he's got like Italian relatives and he's got like hitman relatives. And, he forgets, I guess, that he told everybody that his family doesn't speak to him. Again,
Right.
What are you talking about?
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense. That's why I was trying to get information, about who this person was. I asked to see some proof to make sure
Right.
to ask him if this person exists, and it just made him so pissed off. And he was like, "Why do you care? Why do you care?"
Well, you're going to send him after me.
Yeah, right.
I want to know who to look out for.
I want to know who's coming after me.
Right. Well, the thing is, he's such a bad liar. I mean, that ridiculous grift around the California trip, then to come back and say that he changed the reason for not getting surgery around 1,000 times. And then he said, because the surgeon was in Dubai, well, then why would you fly to LA? if the surgeon was in Dubai? How does that make sense? It's ridiculous. And then to come back and not have taken a single picture, and you're supposedly in this super upscale Beverly Hills plastic surgery clinic. You don't even get Botox. You don't get that lip flip you've been babbling about that people sent you money for, by the way.
Yeah, they sent him a lot of money for it. Yeah.
Right.
Sure
And
did.
I mean, I went on my channel and I challenged him. I said, look, you don't have to show pictures of the cousin's house or the staircase that you won't shut up about or any of that stuff. Show the receipts for the airline tickets. Just show that you went. Prove it. And he can't. He can't do it because he didn't go. And then he made that other story up that he came back because he missed his cat. Hussey, who's one of the biggest snobs in the world, was in Glendale in this $1 million mansion, going to Beverly Hills, and he came back because of a cat. I mean, think of a better cover story. It's absurd.
Yeah, it was absurd. It still is absurd. And we all knew, he wanted David to come out and say that it happened. And then you saw the receipts where David said, he had no proof that he went because he made it up. He even streamed and he didn't have the camera on to make it seem like he was at the location.
Oh, I don't remember that.
Yeah. He's like, yeah, I'm here. But the screen wasn't on. He had the camera off. And
Well, the thing
I think
is,
it was like in black. It was like in darkness.
have you ever been in Glendale,
Glendale,
California?
I might
That's supposedly,
have.
it's where the Rose Bowl is. That's supposedly where he was. Okay. Glendale has a very distinctive view. It's elevated. So it's got this amazing panoramic view of Los Angeles. So he could have streamed from wherever, any location in Glendale, and you would have been able to see Los Angeles in the background, and he would have been able to prove that he was there. He didn't even have to show the house or anything.
No,
he didn't take.
there's so many
He
ways
wasn't
to prove it.
there. He wasn't
No.
there. Come on.
So getting back to who is she, I do know you were saying how there was some. There were
Pasadena's the
multiple
Rose Bowl. I'm sorry, Glendale. I'm thinking of Pasadena's the Rose Bowl. You're right. No, Glendale is not the Rose Bowl. You're right. But Glendale is on a hill, and so you can see this amazing view of LA from Glendale. I have friends who live in Glendale, and it's spectacular at night with the lights and everything. So, why am I even talking about this? We all know he didn't go.
Yeah, no, he definitely didn't go. So getting back to who is she, I know you were saying yesterday how there were a bunch of people that were willing
Right.
to come on panel to discuss her.
And just to make it absolutely clear, those people approached me. They approached me because who had been going on panel with you and making some ridiculous allegations about me? Ridiculous allegations. And I was getting a little bit annoyed. And I had people who had been in her Discord server. There was a rogue group that broke out of that Discord server and started another one. And they were people who had been in my community, were sort of in and out. They got pissed over negs and they pretty much left. But they approached me and they said that they had left the server because of the constant sad fishing and grifting and pleas for money. And they were getting sick of it and they had a weird feeling about it because this is a married woman with a husband with a job. And a lot of her stories weren't holding together. Like, why is it that this woman doesn't have any money? Why is she always asking for money for a computer? Again, with the fucking computer. You know, why is she always telling these sad stories about, I think that there was a story that she couldn't even access the family bank accounts, that the husband had complete control. She made him sound like a monster.
That's what she told me. Yeah.
Oh, she did? Okay, well, yeah.
He cut her off.
Right. And
So she must have been doing some, fucked up shit with money, though, I'm assuming.
Right. And so, she kept on begging people for money, and people were getting really turned off by it because you know how it is. Like when somebody is constantly pressing you for money, and all that they are is a content creator, and you're in their Discord server, it gets old after a while. And so, again, to clarify, they approached me, and I was going to do a panel. The problem was, and this is true, the problem was that there were so many people who wanted to be on the panel that getting all their schedules coordinated was turning into a real challenge. And
Yeah.
also, I believe that at that time, Negs and our relationship was quite new. And so I was more interested in going to Indiana and spending time with him. And frankly, I lost interest because all this other drama popped up. And so, and organizing the panel was turning into a real headache. So I just dropped it. And she's very lucky that I did because
Yeah.
people
Oh,
were
yeah.
going to come on camera. They weren't going to do it anonymously. It wasn't going to be with, voice modulation. People were going to speak out and say the woman is a grifter,
Yeah.
a grifter, And so that's what happened. And when I made that announcement, she got very angry, and Hussey well, of course, he's a grifter too. So naturally, he doesn't want to have a fellow grifter, called on the carpet.
Yeah.
But that's what happened.
Yeah. It's crazy. And
Now, why did Who and Bridget hate each other so much?
I just
Besides
think it was
fighting over you.
yeah, I think there was just there was like jealousy. I don't know for what reason, but
Right.
they both didn't like each other. But it's odd because the reason why I unblocked Budget in the first place was to pass along a message from Budget to Who Is She, so they could talk. So it really didn't make much sense to me, what was going on there, because Budget never liked Who Is She. Is there AK saying she was talking shit about Budget because we were talking shit about Budget? Is that what happened?
Well, they're both awful, so,
Oh yeah, and then Budget was getting information from the Discord. People were sending her screenshots because she had GP in there, that goofball.
Okay. Right.
So
Was this before or after the DM drop?
I think this was before. Yeah,
Okay.
that was part of the big reason why I wouldn't answer the phone when Budget kept calling me, because she went off on Who Is She on Twitter. And it was weird. Like, she was going nutty. Like, she was bonkers, just attacking her. And then she was in the DMs, just, rage DMing me about Who Is She and how she hates her and can't stand her. And I was like, holy hell, what is going on?
What a circus.
Yeah, I was like, I don't want to deal with this shit.
That Discord sounds awful.
Oh. Yeah, it was. It got to be a real pain in the ass because there was a lot of weird shit that was going on. A lot of it had to do with the stuff Who Is She was wanting to talk about. She had all these sexual questions and all this stuff. So we legitimately had to make her own section in the Discord for her to talk about all these sexual things she wanted to talk about, which I never went in.
Right.
The only people that were in there was her, Danny, who was basically in there to troll her, and the Dark Didla, of course. So we got a lot of content to show in that section of the Discord.
God.
Some weird ass conversations, because we were like, will you stop bringing up this stuff? Stop asking all this weird shit. We'll just make you your own section so you can spurg out about all this sexual stuff in there and have at it.
Oh, boy.
It was really embarrassing. But it sounds like to me there's been a common theme. There's a trend there regarding her and how she behaves, and she just is just inappropriate behavior and messing around with people and lying and grifting. And it's funny because at one point I was sitting back and just laughing about it. I was like, look at Hussey and Who Is She, backstab each other, because Hussey wanted Who Is She to make his
merch, right?
His merch, yeah. Right. And then so Hussey was grifting Who Is She, and then in the middle of the night, Hussey changed the password so Who Is She couldn't get back into the merch store. So they were both like backstabbing each other, grifting each other.
So then why did she go back into his community now?
I don't think she had another way to get our attention, to get people's attention.
Okay.
So she was like, fuck it, I'm just going to go this route. If I have to do it this way, I'm going to have to do it this way.
I will say that there's only one thing that I agree with Bridget on. Only one thing, and that is that Who Is She has the most incredible, convenient timing when it comes to developing amnesia.
Yeah,
when you
yeah,
when
right.
you corner her and you have her dead to rights. Oh, I don't remember. She pleads the fifth like every time and thinks that people are going to fall for it. It's an infuriating personality trait. It really
It
is.
is. Yeah, she plays dumb on purpose, and she knows what she said about everybody in there, and she just didn't want to, be truthful about it. I mean, with all the stuff that she said, she thought she was going to delete her Discord, and then it was just going to be gone forever because
Right.
it was concerning stuff that she kept saying. So I was asking people about it, like, what should I do in this situation? Because she'd bring up these situations like about her and this ex that approached her, and how her ex stole all this money from her, and
Oh, I heard about that.
they were
Yeah.
they were sexting and stuff like that. And I didn't even want her to tell me about this stuff. I was like, I really don't want to talk about this stuff. This isn't the type of conversation that we should be having,
Right.
you know. And
Right.
it's apparently the guy, took $500 from her, and they were sexting, and then he ghosted her. And I was like, but she started mentioning him in the first place, and I was like, you really, you shouldn't be talking to this person, but why are you
Right.
telling me? I was like,
Yeah.
fucking hell, what a nightmare, what a headache. It just got to be such a headache. And I could see, the path it was going down to, where I was going to end up being looked upon as like this homeworker with her,
Right.
Oh,
Oh, it was going in that direction.
Yeah, it was. And there was never a chance that I was going to ever do anything with her. She was, I told her, I was like, you're never going to be more than a friend to me. On top of knowing me about you, you're just not my type either. Then I flat out, I told her that. And it was just not, she wouldn't stop after that. It was just really obnoxious, the shit she was doing. And to the point where, yeah, I was dealing with a lot of stuff, and the court shit came up with budget. And then as soon as that got dropped, I was like, I'm going to clean it all out,
Right.
and get rid of all these issues at once. And, I just removed her from the Discord, and she threw a tantrum.
Hey,
Said she was
Carlos.
hey, what's up, Carlos? God's word, buddy. She was just saying she was in her closet hiding from her kids and crying. And, she was just having a complete and utter meltdown over a Discord.
Okay.
Yeah, it was odd behavior, and it wasn't right. And then for her to come back around and lie about different things and try to act like she didn't do anything, or there was no reason for people to stop talking to her. There was no reason for her to be pushed out of the Discord. Yeah, there was a lot of reasons, and there was a lot of warnings. It wasn't a surprise when it happened.
The sad thing is that because of all these lunatics that have entered our lives over the past couple of years, I find that there are people, and she's an example, Hussey's an example, there are other examples too, of people who, if I had met them under different circumstances, I would probably have a lot of empathy for them. I would feel very sorry for them because of the circumstances that they find themselves in. But I can't have any empathy for any of them because of their behavior.
Exactly.
They're so completely unwilling to take responsibility for what they've done and take ownership of stepping over the line. Of saying I'm sorry, or saying anything like that simple. I mean, the way that Hussey holds grudges is simply incredible to me. And then where everybody could see that she was completely taken with you, totally obsessed. And to then, she's a grown woman. I mean, and in her case, I'm willing to make the allowance that, well, she was probably brought up in a very sheltered environment, but she's a grown woman now, and losing your mind over a man that you've never met online is like, it's so embarrassing. And, you would think, but it's amazing to me how these married women are given all these allowances online, like they send nudes and they talk about going to sex clubs and they stalk other men and blah, 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 and they're welcomed into the community with open arms. I'm sitting here in a monogamous relationship, completely unmarried, divorced since 2015, and I'm the whore of Babylon. I'm like the worst person in the world.
Well,
I've been raked over the coals for being monogamous. and
You
they're
have.
like running around, it's just incredible
There's
to
so
me.
many of these jaded people out there,
Right.
mostly women. And it boggles my mind, how many there are when it comes to negs. I mean, there's hundreds of them,
There are.
legitimately hundreds of them, and they feel like he owes them something.
And most of them have been in my emails too.
I
I've
wouldn't
gotten
doubt it.
a lot of threats. At first, I got a bunch of emails from these crazy broads who were trying to suck up to me because they didn't see me as a serious person. They thought that I was just a flash in the pan, or I wasn't really a threat because I'm so old and all this. And then when they saw that I wasn't going anywhere, all of a sudden it was like the gates of hell had opened. And these bitches just came for me in a mob, and it was like, what's wrong? You're all married. What is wrong with you
Yeah, it
people?
doesn't make any sense. It's very odd behavior. There's so many of them. Like all these women that are always constantly talking about negs. They all have had a thing for them.
Right.
They all had a thing with them at one point. There's a lot of them out there. Like even with the alien Parker, she watched him for years. She told me
Right.
that she was watching him the entire time he's been on YouTube. She's been watching him, and it is bizarre, weird fan behavior. It
It
is
is.
like
It
groupie
is.
behavior from these people. And then I see these other people like that original owl who looks like an ostrich.
Right.
That I mean, that's one unfortunate looking person. She's always
Oh.
dancing around, flaunting her body and stuff. She's a butterface.
Well,
Like,
I heard a great story about her that I have to
did you?
share. I
Sure.
have to share it. So,
Let's hear it.
I watched her ages ago. I don't even know how the hell I landed on her channel, but she made this big dramatic video. Oh, by the way, hi ATX, hi Sean, how you guys doing? It's good to see you guys. So, anyway, she made a big dramatic video about how she had to leave the internet immediately because her life was in danger. Because truthfully, Trisha was threatening her family or something like that.
Jesus.
And it was really, I mean, look, I didn't know who truthfully Trisha was. I didn't know who Owl was, really. I mean, she was just some housewife sitting around making videos, as far as I was concerned. And so I took it at face value, and she vanished, right? She vanished. So I forgot about her. And then she popped back up, and I thought, oh, I guess that the danger has passed. Well, it turns out that the story that she told was that Trisha had called Owl's former husband in jail, in prison actually, where he was in prison for, I guess, domestic violence, and she interviewed him. And I thought, but wait a minute, prisons don't have answering services. Prisoners do not have personal assistants that take phone calls from interested parties. It doesn't work like that. And so she interviewed a guy who was in prison, which then was a danger to Owl's life. And of course, this alleged interview was never published.
Yeah.
But it was the same
Very
bullshit
odd.
drama community bullcrap that these women all spread around, all these lies that they tell, trying to smear each other, trying to go crazy on each other, and then making it all about them and raising these victim points to get more audience and more money. And it's just so embarrassing.
It is. It's embarrassing. It is. It doesn't take much to see that these people just aren't. There's something not going on, in their heads. There's something that's just not right. They got some loose screws, is what it is.
Right.
And everything that they trash other people on, they have issues with. It's
Right.
mainly projection when it comes to a lot of them. And instead of going to a therapist to work through their problems, they just take it out on others and project it onto other people. It's like, I mean, why are you so mad? Why are you so angry? Why are you so invested into
Right.
people on the internet? I get, being a fan and going to people's chats and commenting and talking some smack and things like that. But why get so invested to the point where you have to follow these people around and hope for the worst
Right.
for them?
Yeah. Yeah.
What is the deal with that? You need to go to a mental institution.
I agree. And I used to really like look sideways. I used to give Negs the side eye, like really hardcore side eye, when he would talk about contacting people's families or DMing people on Facebook. And I thought, what an asshole. Now I understand why he did it. Because some people really don't know when to quit. They really do come off as mentally ill.
Yeah.
And they are openly making threats, or they are reaching out to your people, or they're threatening your family. And so now I get why people reach out to people's families. Like, what, are you out of your fucking mind? What are you, nuts? You
Yeah.
know, like you're having a mental health crisis. Do something
Yeah.
about it.
Yeah. They really are. A lot of these people are, and it's running rampant on here. It is like an epidemic of mental illness and people in group psychosis.
Right?
I never seen something like this before.
Me
I
neither.
mean, I came from like a subset of the drunken peasants, and it was mainly guys.
Right.
But the drama drugged me in this direction to where I ended up now, and that's how Negs and I first initially met each other. Is because people were trying to go after us. They couldn't trigger us and get to us, so they were going after our kids.
Okay.
And that's how we had that common bond, because they were doing the same thing to him as they were to me. And we were like, hey, we need to put these people in their place. And a lot of them did get destroyed and demolished because
Right.
of what they were doing and what they were saying. It was just it was disgusting. And they got it back at them, and they couldn't take it. you know but yeah, I mean, I think it's wrong. I think these people, they don't like approach it in the right way. I get covering people and giving your opinions on people, but wishing for the worst and hoping things happen to them offline and trying to hurt them offline, make it so they can't make a living,
Right.
hurt them by going after their kids and their family, and it doesn't make any sense to me.
Well, see, that's the thing. When people are constantly bringing up, you know, Negs needs to go out and get a job. What do you think would happen if Negs left the house and got a job?
Oh
What do you
yeah,
think would happen?
yeah,
How long do you think that he would last in that job? How long do you think it would take for the bad Yelp reviews to start coming in, or people to start coming into the business, or people ringing the phone off the hook to get him fired, or whatever? I mean, it happened to me. It happened to me. So, why wouldn't it happen to him? There's no way that, quite frankly, there's no way that either of us could work outside of the house now. It's impossible, because people have a way of finding out where you are, and they will try and take your living away. So the easiest thing to do is just, keep an eye on your investments and, do the thing on the internet, or do something from home where at least, you have a modicum of control over what it is that you can do. And even that's not assured. So it's ridiculous. People are crazy. They don't take responsibility for how out of control and how bad they are. Like when people blame me for Negs losing his channel, I wasn't the one who dogpiled him. People came after all of his channels last year, all of them,
No,
Twitch,
yeah.
YouTube, everything.
And
I wasn't
that's all
responsible
bullshit,
for
yeah.
that was them. They did that to him. Just like people are now trying to blame Negs for my channel coming down. It's not his fault. It's the fault of the people who reported that stream, and the whole fucking channel came down because they were shocked to see sexual content on a live stream with a fucking porn star.
Right.
Why are you going to the stream then if you're that persnickety and you want to clutch your pearls? Go somewhere else.
Exactly. Yeah, and then when it comes to that thing, those narratives, those are just Hail Marys,
Exactly.
And I'll say that they're bullshit, because when I was trying to, when you're engaged in internet conflict, you try to say stuff to piss people off, and that's
Right.
one of those things that people were saying to try, piss him off and try to get you guys to fight. I mean,
Right.
and I'll say it right now, it's a bunch of bullshit. It's a bunch of nonsense.
Yeah, of course.
I mean, the majority of the shit that I was saying when I was in conflict with Negs was bullshit. So, and I'm sure he would say the same thing back, but at the same time too, we kept it on the internet. We didn't drag people to court and
Right.
try to ruin them offline and go after each other's families and things like that. That just didn't happen. It was conflict that happened over the internet. People just don't understand that. And then when the whole situation came up with Budget going to the police and lying on a police report saying she felt endangered, her life was in danger, and that she had to move because of me, when that was all nonsense. She was talking about that months prior.
Exactly.
And then going to court and doing it as well too. And all these people that were my so-called friends on here wouldn't even back me up and disavow what she did.
Mm-hmm.
And, you guys were practical about it, saying, this shit, it's wrong. You shouldn't be doing this to people over
Right.
online shit. And with her, it was because I wouldn't have her come out and meet me and blow her back out and answer her phone calls.
Obviously. See, that's the thing. I mean,
hell.
look, I had said earlier that I had gotten out of the business of trying to white knight for people, that Negs and I put up a closed for business sign and that we weren't going to go out and do that anymore. But I have to say that when I saw what happened between you and Bridget, I had to make an exception to the rule, because what I saw was so completely outrageous, and it was so obvious why she was doing it. And when I hear her excuses now, they're as absurd as they were back then. And I mean, when Negs and I went to court, and she didn't show up, it's like, wow, I guess you were really afraid for your life, huh? You filed an emergency protective order, okay, because you were afraid for your life, because Negs created a website where he published factual things about you.
Right.
It's incredible to me, but it was like, that's when I knew that something had really shifted. The whole thing with Bridget taking and yes, Bridget, can I just tell you, Bridget, I'm going to look in the camera. You did take him to court. Okay, this nonsense that, oh, well, it was decided and he didn't have to go to court. Yes, he did. Yeah. Okay, that is not the kind of thing that you want on your record.
No.
You don't want that. And it was based on a complete and utter lie. You were never afraid for your life. Never. And the paperwork was absurd. I mean, if, I unfortunately, now that my channel is gone, you can't see the stream where I held up the EPO that she filed against Negs. It was a joke. A joke. There were no instances of any threats of any kind. We've never spoken to this woman privately, ever. Yeah.
To go down to a police station and go down to a courtroom and file these things over internet beef is pure lunacy.
Mm-hmm.
It's bullshit. You're tying up the police station, you're tying up the courtroom for people that really need emergency services.
Right.
Is what it's doing.
Right.
And it creates a backlog.
Mm-hmm.
Fucking hell, what is wrong with these people? They all need to be in a mental institution. They really do. They need to be put on severe psych meds, put in a straitjacket, and thrown in a box somewhere, just to keep them away from the rest of the public.
I also love this. I love the get out of jail free card that Bridget tries to use, which is, oh, all I do is talk shit on Twitter. No, that's not all you do. That's not all you do. You investigate people, you dig into their personal lives for God only knows what reason. You pass information around to other people. And why do you do that? Like, what are you trying to accomplish? Okay, so you found out where I worked, and you continue to go on Twitter and lie and say that I didn't have a job. You're digging into my educational background. What is it to you? Why are you so interested? And the thing is that if you're going to do that, and you do it badly, by the way, because you can't come up with the facts, then what is it that you hope to accomplish with that? To prove that I'm a fraud? You proved that I was employed, and you continue to lie and say that I was unemployed. Who's the fraud here? Not me.
All right. Yeah, I mean, it just makes these people just look sad and pathetic. It really does. And the judge just laughed her out of the courtroom, and she had no proof, even to all this other bullshit that she was bringing into the courtroom. And the judge was not happy about it. He was not.
Right.
And I said this before, after the hearing, he was like, "This is off the record, but just stay away from you. Just stay away from her. There's something that's not right about her."
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
and,
it's true.
You could see it. Like he already had his decision made when he saw the paperwork. I don't even think the hearing needed to occur, because I put on there, it was just a bunch of nonsense. I don't know this person. I've never met her in person. I don't talk to her in a way other than through YouTube or Twitter. That's why the judge was like, well, how did you guys have these conversations? And I said, through YouTube and Twitter. And he was amazed that this was even filed.
Exactly. I have to question some of these judges and what they sign off on, because it's amazing. Absolutely amazing. Like, what is going on here? Are you not reading the document?
I
You
don't think
know?
so. Yeah, I think it must be that they must be obligated to, if they don't sign one of these and they're serious in nature and one,
Mm-hmm.
gets by, that it could cause some, a serious issue.
Mm-hmm.
But, I mean, Jesus, these things are they're bullshit. They're not
Mm-hmm.
worth the paper that they're printed on.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, and I don't know what people are trying to achieve by doing this,
Mm-hmm.
other than try to piss people off,
Mm-hmm.
make people upset, because that's
Mm-hmm.
all it really does.
Right.
You have to be a sick and twisted person to get off on sending one of those to somebody and
Mm-hmm.
laughing about it, thinking that
Mm-hmm.
it's funny
Mm-hmm.
when it's initiated by the person that's sending it. you
Right.
know they're
Yeah.
just not getting back what they wanted in return, so
Mm-hmm.
this is their way in responding.
Mm-hmm.
It's sad. I feel
Mm-hmm.
sorry for these people, to a certain extent.
Did you want to ask me about my channel?
Oh, yeah, definitely go ahead.
Okay. So I knew that people had been gunning for me for a long time. I'm aware of that. I also knew that what I said was true, which is that YouTube was a hobby. Now, at one time during lockdown, I was making very good money. Not enough money to live comfortably in DC, but certainly enough money to live in a place with a lower cost of living. But I knew that it couldn't last. And I knew that at some point, I was going to get out of the whole reaction game and I was going to rebrand. And this was even before I started speaking to Negs. I just had a feeling that I was just getting bored and antsy, and there were other issues that I wanted to talk about. But because of the community I was in, I knew I couldn't talk about these issues because they were too controversial within those communities. So I kept my mouth shut and I just continued to do what I was doing. But listen, we all saw what happened to Leafy is here, right? If somebody like Leafy can be taken down, anybody can be taken down
Oh,
and
yeah.
not come back. So I am only sad that I lost my original content, but I'm not crushed over it. I'm not devastated, okay? I can always remake those videos. I still have a list of the topics. I can go back and I can redo them if I feel like it.
Yeah.
And so it's not that big of a deal because, quite frankly, those pre-recorded videos that I was so fond of had very, very low views. Very low views. And they were labors of love. They weren't done to make money. They were done because I was bored and I thought I'd just throw
Enjoyed doing
something
it.
together. I don't give a damn about any of the streams. And I do know that in StreamYard, I still have a lot of the streams saved. So I can download them and I can upload them to Rumble. And the interviews are going to go on Rumble, the ones that I hung on to. But
Well, all your
I
stuff's
am.
archived different places too. Not the
That's
best of
true.
places, but they're
That's
archived
true.
places.
And the thing is, I mean, the people who are coming out and saying that it is so like I have watched some videos. I don't know why I do this to myself, but I have seen like an explosion of sanctimony about, well, we we're so sad for her, like this pity party. And it's like, you're sadder than I am. You guys don't seem to get it, that this really was a hobby. And if you think for a second that I'm going to hold anyone else responsible, and that I am then going to turn around and rake them over the coals, that's not how I operate. I've never operated that way. I've had people do that to me in TV when they make mistakes and then they want to find somebody to blame and then they pick me or they pick somebody else. I don't like being blamed for somebody else's fuck up, and
Yeah.
I don't like people who aren't responsible being blamed. It was an accident. It was a mistake. It was not something
that
that
was
was done
clear to see, yeah.
intentionally.
Yeah.
And for the people who are like saying, "Oh well, I think that he was trying," you people are crazy. You're out of your fucking minds. This is all wishful thinking and projection on your parts. And the fact that I lost my channel, I'll just start anew on Rumble. I don't care. I just want a platform where I can upload things that are interesting and have interesting conversations. That's all.
Yeah.
That's all.
And you have a built-in fan base, so they're going to follow. Just like with Negs, over at Rumble, he's got a couple hundred people in there, if not more, on a lot of occasions.
Exactly.
So, you guys have built in fan bases. People are going to follow. It's a weird attention grab to try to get to you guys to say, oh, I was the one that did it. I was the one that
Right.
reported it, in hopes that you'll give them attention. It's like, damn, that's how pathetic you are. That's how sad your
Right.
life is.
And then they go on their bannovating channels and gloat about it. It's
Yeah,
like
it's amazing.
you people are unbelievable. You really are. Put the vodka down.
Right? Holy hell.
And again, it was a discussion with a porn star. A porn star. What exactly did you expect the conversation or the content to consist of? The first conversation that I had with Ginger was much more explicit. Much
Yeah, I
more
remember that.
explicit.
Yeah.
And, it's interesting that nobody flagged that one. But the only reason that people flagged this one was because Negs was in the video. They did it to spite me and they did it to spite Negs. That's
Sure
why
did.
they did it. They
Sure
they can get on a high horse and they can be all holier than thou about, well, there was sexual content. You didn't give a fuck when I had Ginger on before.
No, they didn't.
And so don't give me this crap that you were so offended and you had to defend the honor of YouTube. That is absurd. You did it deliberately because you don't like me and you don't like him. That is the
Exactly.
bottom line. That's it.
That's what it is. And yeah, you people live sad lives. You have a sad existence to get off on that, to be entertained by that.
Right.
It's weird. Join the YMCA or do something to get the endorphins that you're looking for. I don't know. Yeah, it's stalker, bizarre fan behavior is what it is. It's exactly what it is. Like groupie, unhinged, fucking groupie weird behavior. I don't know what else to say, but it's just creepy. It
I
just
know.
really is.
I know. It's ridiculous. It's amazing to listen to people who don't know anything, who clearly don't know anything, who then go on their channels and come up with all these weird theories. Like, I heard these two old biddies who were going on about how I'm really a nobody. I never said I was a big deal in journalism. I never said that I was a news anchor or anything like that. I've always made it very, very clear that I chose early on in my career to stay off camera. I was always behind the scenes. And well, obviously she's a failure because she changed jobs so often. Yeah, I freelanced for many years. And so every time that I took a job, I took an upgrade. Every time I moved. It's very, very common in TV. It's a very competitive business. And you always have to look for the next opportunity to get something better. And if you can land a job with health insurance, even better.
Yeah.
I mean, I lost my job at ABC because the man I worked for, Hal Bruno, who's the political director, got on the bad side of some people in New York who decided to hatch a scheme to replace him because they thought he was too old and they wanted one of their people in. And for a year and a half, they systematically shut him out of all the shows, Good Morning America, World News Tonight, all of those programs. And the only show that would bring him on was Nightline because Ted Koppel was in DC and he really loved Hal. And because Hal was out, then they blackballed all of the people who had ever worked for him. So all of us had to leave. So I stuck around for a couple of more months working in radio as a news writer and an announcer and an editor. And then I got the
nice.
job at Hardball as a producer. So that's how that works in the industry. Sometimes you lose your job based on nothing that you've done, but because somebody takes a disliking to somebody that you're associated with, and it's like, oh, well, he's got to go and all his people have to go. And it has nothing to do with your ability. It's just like, okay, we're just going to clean house. We're going to put our people in. It happens all the time.
Yeah,
it's very
it does.
common.
And a lot of these people that are hating, they don't realize that's how it works because they
Right.
never had a career. They never worked their way up in a company and got up higher positions or moved into leadership roles and different things and receive promotions and things like that. These are people that really haven't done much with their lives, and they're angry people, and they take it out in weird ways on others.
I know. It's ridiculous. It's stupid. Whatever. It's just, it's so dumb, and these people are like, oh my God, we know she's really sad that she lost her channel. Not really. I mean,
No, you really
you
haven't.
know, I'm not. Do I look crushed? No, I'm not broken up. I'm not sitting in a corner crying and rocking back and forth. No, absolutely not. Absolutely not. And I'm glad that, like I said, I'm glad that StreamYard recorded a copy so that I could upload it to
Oh
Rumble.
yeah,
You know,
yeah,
and what
that's
I'm going to
good.
do is I'm going to remember which guests I brought on that I really liked, and I'll bring them back on. We'll have them on the podcast. You know.
Yeah, yeah, that would be a good time. Yeah, you'd follow up on the things that you already covered. A lot of people would like to see that. I'd like to see it. Yeah, I won't understand these people. I mean, look at this. They come in here and they say this weird stuff.
I know, right?
It's funny because they say this comment, but they were all signed up for my OnlyFans, and then I could see as they would leave, after I would have a falling out with these people, then they would leave after we weren't cool anymore. So, everything was perfectly fine in that department, and they asked many times for multiple other pictures, and I would always redirect them back to OnlyFans. But I mean, that's how these people roll. So if that makes their day by acting that way, more power to you. But at the same time, it's sad and pathetic. It really is. It really is.
What did you think of what Ginger said about OnlyFans?
Yeah, I agree with a lot of the stuff that she was saying. In particular, I know we talked about something that she said. What I didn't see the whole part of the OnlyFans. What did she go into about that?
Well, I mean, she was talking about how it can be a really, really great way to make money, and you can make a career out of it. But it all has to do with how much you put into it and how motivated you are, and if you find a niche that you fit into that other people aren't doing. It can be anything. But when I had her on the first time, we had a talk about this phenomenon of OnlyFans blowing up during lockdown, and how many people found themselves out of work and thought, oh my God, what am I going to do? And OnlyFans came up as a possible solution. And that there were a lot of very, very misleading ads that were floating around on social media where you'd see these like really pretty girls and they'd say, I've been on OnlyFans for a month and I've made $1 million or some crazy thing like that, right? And the thing about OnlyFans is that it kind of works like an MLM in some circumstances, like you recruit people down level and then you make money off of them too. Which is one of the reasons why Nina Unrated and Trisha Paytas got into that huge blowout, because somebody owed somebody else money. I guess Trisha owed her money. Who knows? They're all such liars. But anyway, but that there were a lot of people who got into it and they didn't really think ahead, and they didn't realize, and some of them were very, very young, and they didn't think about what kind of an impact this could have on their lives. If somebody came across the account, and if they were, for example, working as teachers or in the public sector, and how it could damage them down the line, even if they decided to just hop on for a couple of months and make a few extra bucks. And so she said, I mean, whether it's OnlyFans or the more mainstream porn industry, that there are just certain people who should not do it because they're not psychologically and temperamentally cut out for it. And that it could destroy them if they're not strong enough. Because one of the things that she said multiple times is your family will find out about it. And you have to be prepared for when that happens. And a lot of people think, oh, I'm going to go on OnlyFans. Nobody's going to know. Yes, they will. Yes, they will.
The type of people that are out there,
right?
Yeah, they'll just pay just to get it, just to leak it. Right. They get off on that kind of stuff. No, with OnlyFans, you can make money, and it doesn't have to be nudity. A lot of people use OnlyFans as their content tool to get their content out there. You can live stream on there. You could just put pictures of your feet if you wanted to and make money off of it. But yeah, like with everything that's online today, you're going to be at risk of that getting leaked. So expect whatever you put on there for everyone, that there's a possibility everybody could see it, especially your family and things like that. So yeah, I mean, that's one of the things that it's unfortunate that has to happen, but it does happen. Yeah. What I really liked about Ginger was the part where she was saying how she likes to give people compliments and
Hmm.
tries to make people's days. And if they
Hmm.
she sees somebody in the grocery store, she'll compliment their
Hmm.
shirt and things like that.
Hmm.
And I took up that philosophy too,
Hmm.
and try to give people compliments or say nice things to help if they're having a down day. But then
Hmm.
just lately, well, the past couple of years, it just gets thrown in my face.
Right.
Well, now because I said something to them or gave them a compliment, now
Hmm.
they should take that as I'm in love with them or I like them or want to have a
Hmm.
relationship with them.
Yeah.
You got to be very careful.
Hmm.
I just that's unfortunate.
Hmm.
I've never ran into a group of people that behave like this. I really
I
haven't.
have to say that after the first time I spoke to her, and I've interviewed hundreds of people, and I have to say that of all of them, her interview with me the first time really stuck with me because what I could not get over was that somebody who had been through as much injustice as her, with the jailing and the abuse and the craziness, and then being in a halfway house with an arsonist and trying to get railroaded by the industry over Tracy Lords, and the drug addiction and all of that insanity that happened to her, she has not a shred or an ounce of bitterness in her.
No, she doesn't.
You know,
It's pretty
I mean,
amazing.
I don't know if you've ever watched the documentaries After Porn Ends, but you look at some of these women who were in the industry, and you can see how the industry chewed them up and spit them out. And they had a really hard time landing on their feet after the golden age was over. And then they found that, oh my God, amateur took over, and there were all these websites, because these girls were in the industry when there was no internet. And
Yeah.
now it's like, what do? Now you're considered washed up, you're too old, you're yesterday's news. You can go to the conventions, but how often do they happen? So what do you do with yourself? And a lot of them, you can tell that they're really angry. And with a lot of them, it affected child custody cases.
Hmm.
They got heavily addicted to drugs when they were doing porn. They saw people dropping dead of AIDS, drug addiction, getting used left, right, and center. And Ginger came out the other end, and she's this amazing, lovely, wonderful woman.
She
Just a
is.
wonderful person.
She's pretty remarkable. She really is.
Hmm.
Yeah, no, I thought that was a great conversation.
Hmm.
That was one of my favorite streams of yours.
Hmm.
And I really liked it. Even when we were at odds, I
Hmm.
really enjoyed it, and
Hmm.
I thought it was awesome that she came back on. You guys got to follow up and talk about other things too. And now, yeah, you could have the next conversation on your new platform, and it's not going to change anything. So
Right.
all these people that are celebrating, I don't know what you're celebrating.
Yeah,
you know?
exactly. Exactly. I mean, the only place you can go when you're starting over is up. So, and we do have really good guests lined up this week. And we have a lot of good guests lined up going forward, too. So, we are going to build an audience.
Oh
How
yeah.
big that audience will be, I have no idea. But we are getting a lot of really good offers. And that is really cool. So obviously something is going right.
Oh
And
yeah. Yeah.
despite what all
Right.
these biddies on YouTube are gloating about, listen, if you think that our content is so unsatisfactory and boring, why don't you bring people on? You
Yeah.
bring guests on, and don't just bring each other on constantly. Bring, newsmakers, bring interesting people on, you
Yeah.
know. I mean, I will tell you, I'll give you a little preview.
Sure.
On Thursday, I'm going to have Fred Sargent on. Fred Sargent was at Stonewall. Fred Sargent was the founder of Gay Pride, of the Gay Pride
Oh
movement.
wow.
Fred Sargent has gotten into some terrible physical altercations with some of the more radical transgender activists. And so I'm doing this obviously because
Awesome.
I'm a huge homophobe, right?
Yeah.
When,
Right.
when was the last time that Hussey or Gigi or any of those people did a stream about gay rights or about problems facing gay youth or about the gay rights movement or about gay history? They don't do it. And then they want to dogpile me because I do it and call me a homophobe. Like, come on. You
Yeah. It
guys, come
doesn't.
on.
It's ridiculous. Yeah. No, you know, I get trolling. You know, it can be fun doing some light trolling and stuff like
Sure.
that. But you know, to be so emotionally and psychologically and physically invested into your hatred towards others,
Mm-hmm.
it's just it boggles my mind.
Mm-hmm.
You know, go ahead and hate watch people, but you don't need to track their movements or talk about where they're at, where they're going on vacation in discords with a bunch of
Right.
other lunatics in there and track
Mm-hmm.
where if you go to this place or that place and then take pictures and drop them in a discord for a bunch of people to
Mm-hmm.
trash people. You
Right.
don't have to bring up their people that are non-combatants that have nothing to do with the situation and
Mm-hmm.
trash them in discords.
Mm-hmm.
It's just not right. It's not appropriate. And
Mm-hmm.
you're stalking people at that point. You really are.
Yeah, and that's why. Look, I mean, the the incident where Vidal posted pictures of the house that Negs and I were looking at, whether we were interested or not, whether we were just killing time and looking at houses or not, it's none of her business. And when she stepped over that line and she posted those pictures, that's when I realized that the next time that I purchase a property, because Negs and I are going to be purchasing a house together, we just don't know where,
Mhm.
that we have to look into every option to keep that purchase anonymous. We cannot have
Yeah.
our names attached to a property,
Yeah.
whether it's under an LLC or under a trust. I'm actually the next time I'm in Indiana, I'm going to sit down with an attorney, a real estate attorney, and a trust lawyer, and I'm going to go
That's a
over
good
the
idea.
options because I know how people are. People are insane, and they've already shown that they have no problem mailing things to our house. They have no problem vandalizing a vehicle. They have no problem overstepping their boundaries. We've got MFW saying that she's got a subscriber or a mod or something who drives by our house and takes our pictures. And normally I would laugh it off, and then the car is vandalized. So,
Yeah.
we
Exactly.
need to live in a place where there is a very low probability that people will be able to find us. And I think that it is outrageous that two people who are not notorious public figures or big movie stars or in witness protection or something need to take these precautions because
Yeah.
people online do not know where to draw the goddamn line. And
They
the
don't.
fact that Vidal is still like, well, what's the big deal? Well, it is a big deal. It is a big deal when somebody posts a picture of a property because
Hmm.
you found it so easily. How easily do you think it would be for somebody else to find it and show up at the front door? It's
Exactly.
not
Yeah. What are they
funny.
going to do with that information? Yeah. She's putting it
Right.
out there for anybody to do whatever they want and take it further. Her line might be here, but they might take it an extra mile beyond her line, and
Exactly.
they fail to realize that and to see that, and then
But yeah,
it's just
but
ridiculous.
nobody wants to take responsibility for anything.
No.
Nobody does. And then they get upset when you point it out, and then people in your chat are like, "Wow, that really sucks," and then they're very defensive. Well, nobody asked you. You know, it's like when I did that event at the Libyan ambassador's house, and I
Oh
made an
yeah.
announcement
Jesus.
that I was going to there the right thing. And Vidal posted it the next day like a big own. I never said it was a private event, but she wanted to reveal that to show that I was lying about something that I never said. Of course, it was an Eventbrite event. If it had been a private event, I wouldn't have been able to film it.
No.
So, it's amazing to me. Like these people. Oh, I got you. No, you didn't. Why are you checking into it? That's so weird. Just watch the video. What are you
Yeah.
doing? You know?
Stalker behavior. It is. Yeah, and who's to say they take that information to some event that you're going to go to and show up there with
Hmm.
some type of weapon to do something to you like that?
Hmm.
And this is well documented of what certain people that have been doing to you guys on the internet for quite some time. And it's
Hmm.
been happening to me as well too. And
Right.
a lot of people think a lot of people don't realize like if you have like a pay Discord and you have certain channels that are on a pay Discord,
Hmm.
people will pay and act like they're cool with you for a very long
Exactly.
time to get to that information,
Right.
just so they can leak it
Right.
to get attention, for doing something like that. I mean, we're in a environment where there's people that aren't thinking clearly and do
Mhm.
things like that. So
Mhm.
before you attack how somebody else's house looks, you better make sure that your house is clean.
Mhm. Yeah.
That's all I'm going to say about that, because,
Mhm.
if you want to open up a can of worms to
Mhm.
this big, and there's all kinds of stuff that can be added on top of it to
Mhm.
make the situation actually flip on the other person, and to turn, everything back on the person that's starting these issues.
Mhm.
You're just opening up you're just
Right.
causing a lot of issues for yourself.
I mean,
That could
Hussy
happen.
has been going on stream and like opening up Zillow and refreshing it to see if my house is on the market yet. Why do you care? Why do you care? When my house goes on, after my house is sold, I will announce that the house is sold,
Yeah.
you know? But he's so nosy. He's like so, it's ridiculous. Like he's so concerned about what I'm doing, where I'm going, how much money I make, how much money I have in the bank. What I like these idiots were he had fedora on, and they were criticizing me because of what I wore to the shooting range in Las Vegas. And they were saying, oh, pajama pants. Well, what the hell was I supposed to wear? Oh, well, she says she's so stylish. I was at a shooting range. I wasn't at a fashion show. I wasn't at a four-star restaurant. I was holding big guns in the desert. Of course, I wore Walmart pajama pants. I'm not going to wear a freaking Chanel suit to go out shooting,
Yeah, you want to be
heavy
comfortable.
artillery. Come on.
Yeah, ridiculous. And they legitimately get really angry about things like that,
Right.
and it bothers them to the
Yeah.
point where they have to make these crazy statements. It's not like they're trolling or anything. They're like legitimately have like strong feelings that's backed by hatred over this stuff. It's amazing,
And look at the people criticizing Fedora and Hussey. You must be
right?
kidding.
Well,
I've been wearing pajama pants for going on 3 years now. When I went back to the office, when we were called back in the summer of last year, everybody came in pajamas because people were so used to working from home. People were coming in pajamas, shorts. Nobody was dressed up. Even the anchors were coming in pajama bottoms, and that's very common in broadcast news too. But, nobody cared because, people were mad that they had to go back to the office. So we just continued to dress the way we dressed at home, and nobody
exactly.
said anything. What
Very,
difference does it make?
it's very common, but they got to make a big deal over it. But on that note, I probably should let you go. It looks like we've been
Okay.
going on almost a few hours, but is there anything
Oh,
else you want to? Yeah, it went by pretty quick. Time flies when you're having fun.
no,
And
actually, I do have a family obligation that I have to go to. I've been looking at
okay, I don't want to
at
keep
the
you.
clock. So thank you,
Sure.
Tragic. This was a lot of
Yeah,
fun.
yeah.
Thank
It
you
was
so
fun.
much.
Thank you for coming on. I do appreciate you, and it was a good time.
Thank you.
All right. Take care. Thank
See you
you.
later.
All right. See ya. All right, y'all. All right, y'all. Thank you, DC Media. Thank you for coming on the stream and touching upon those topics that we discussed. Um, and you people out there that are so emotionally tied to this stuff, you really need to look in the mirror. You really do, and need to get some help. Go see a psychiatrist. Go see a therapist. You need some help. You really do. And I want to appreciate everybody for coming in the chat and hanging out and commenting, all the new members, all the people that signed up to the membership. There'll be a lot more things that I'll be adding to the membership. If you want to hear the rest of that stream from last night, where I literally destroy MFW, I destroy Miss Hussey, and I destroy that other lunatic that looks like she was bred in a test tube in Jurassic Park, that was born next to a toxic waste plant. Hey, what's up, Monty? Thanks, man. I appreciate it. Thanks for stopping by. But yeah, some of you guys are out of your minds. You really are, and you need to get checked. You need to get checked, or just go to a mental institution. I know you can probably get like limited internet access. You'll be overseen by someone to make sure that you're using it appropriately. But a lot of you need that oversight. A lot of you need handlers out there. You really do. You really do. But I want to thank everybody for coming into the chat. That was a great discussion that I just had. I really appreciate DC. And is this too loud? And then, I just want to tell everybody that I plan on streaming more. I really do, discussing more topics, covering more things and things like that. So that's why I went ahead and went forward finally with the monetization and getting the memberships and stuff started. Should I play a couple more of these clips from last night since I have you guys here? Let's see what else we have here. This one lunatic came on stream.
Okay, I mean, okay.
I'll call my cousin right now.
Bring her on up. Bring Roy on up.
I'll call my cousin right now.
Why are you guys always talking about children and animals?
Put you in
You
your
animals, but you.
Oh my God. What the fuck is that?
Okay, I mean,
I'm calling animal control.
I'll call my cousin right now.
Bring her on.
You guys hear it?
Roy on up.
I'll call my cousin right now.
Why are you guys always talking about children and animals?
You started with the children tragedy.
Oh my God. What the fuck is that? This was so ridiculous. I'm calling animal control. What is that thing in here? What did you just
Are you talking about me, bitch?
What did you just bring into this
about me, you
chat?
fat bitch? You looking like
I'm
a
gonna
whole damn
call up
woman
animal
with them
control.
pills, bitch.
You got rabies.
You a hater. That's what you are.
What is that thing stuck in your face?
You a hater. You're a fucking hater.
What is that thing stuck
And
in
I
your
look
face?
better than you and the bitch. You probably
beast.
damn trying to dick down. How about that?
Jesus
And this
Christ,
is on my
you're
worst day,
hideous.
bitch.
You are hideous thing.
He fails in everything.
You are like
Yeah. Failure
were
at
you created
manhood.
in a test tube? Jesus
Sure.
Christ.
That's what you want to go with, bitch.
What are you doing up here anyway? I don't know
Because
you.
Katie let me up.
What are you fucking doing up here anyway? She let her up.
Exactly.
Pussy, I want to
Katie
know.
let us
I
up.
want to see proof of this cousin you just. Let's see if I played this other one. Since David wants to talk shit, I'm gonna actually go to
This one's for
Ireland,
Scotty.
and I'm gonna stomp his hip out, and then steal his Lucky Charms and his bag of his gold on the other side of the rainbow. I'm gonna smash his hip out because he's talking shit. Wants to run his mouth. So if you guys want to watch the rest of that stream, it is a members only live stream now. I think I streamed for like 4.5 hours during that stream. But I think I'm going to call it a stream now, call it a wrap. I had a really good time. We talked about a lot of important things, discussed a lot of things, cleared up a lot of things, put a lot of people on blast for their inappropriate behavior, doing weird shit, trying to make situations really creepy. And I'm going to say it again. You guys are in the midst of a mental health crisis, and you really need to seek help and get on some type of medication and try to improve, try to do better in your life. You really can do better. A lot of people are throwing out these wild and crazy accusations that aren't even true. A lot of people are saying other people are talking to people that they've never even talked to before, or saying they know things happen by certain people with zero evidence, with zero fucking evidence, and then are tying up police resources and court resources over it with zero proof and zero evidence because it doesn't exist, because it never happened. Y'all need to get your fucking heads checked immediately. And on that note, ayo, let's go. Let's get it. Thank y'all for coming. I do appreciate it. Bodega love, Bodega life. See ya. Chica, let's go.